Welcome to another edition of ATL Prime Sports. Todd Corder here with you in the ATL, along with Wayne out of Memphis, our producer, and our guest today, Fred Gerteiny. Fred is the sports producer at WTNH News 8 in Connecticut. And Fred is a good friend of the show, and we're glad he's here today to substitute for JJ, who is out with an illness. You can catch all of us at ATL Prime Sports, myself at Corder Todd, Wayne at RWY Jr., JJ at JJ Get You One, and Fred at FredGerteiny. You can catch the show on Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, Apple, and Spotify. So we'll get ready to get started here. Due to technical difficulties, we will go ahead and pick up the show in progress. He was right when when Freddie stayed and or was going to leave, and all of us thought he was going to stay, and he could be right this time. We all think Swanson's going to leave and he might stay, so he might be right twice. A dead clock is right twice, so we'll see if he's right again. He's not here to defend himself, so it's good. But so we'll see. But my guess is Swansby's either going to the Cubs because they're going to pay him, and the Dodgers because he can go be teammates with Freddie Freeman, and they're going to pay him because they lost Trey Turner. That's my guess. Atlanta did acquire Sean Murphy from the A's. He's in. William Contreras is out. That's a big deal because Sean Murphy, to me, Fred, is one of the best catchers in baseball.
It's amazing how the Braves can keep acquiring these guys, especially from Oakland, right? And they give up these top prospects. Isn't Muller their top pitching prospects, the lefty?
Yep.
Wasn't he part of the deal? They're
Yep.
always giving up these top prospects, and they're still loaded. I mean, they're unbelievable, that organization. They just rain prospects. I mean, it's unbelievable. But Sean Murphy is a heck of a player. He's a great defensive catcher. He's a pretty good offensive player. That was a great pickup. And Contreras had a great year for you last year. I don't know why they were in such a rush to get rid of him and bring in Murphy, but if you can upgrade.
Well, it's amazing because this is what Atlanta does. I got a feeling they're going to trade for a veteran shortstop, or they're going to give the job to Devon Grissom, who got off to a wonderful start. His first bat was a home run in Fenway Park. He jacked it out of left field. It landed somewhere in the street. This is what the Braves do. They go up to a certain price. You don't take it. That's what they did with Freddie. They made a trade, got an Oakland A, of course, and a hometown guy at first base. And that's the way they move. Let's talk about your Mets being in the same division. Speaking of moves, they look like the 13-14 Tigers reuniting Justin Verlander and Max Scherzer. Tell me about the Mets. You're a big Mets guy. And you're the rival for Atlanta.
Well, the big story was Jacob deGrom. Was he staying or was he going?
Right.
And I was one of these guys. As much as I love deGrom, let's face it, the Mets won 101 games last year, and he pitched what? 9 games, what do you have, 9 starts, something like that. So they were fine without him, and he's always injured now. I mean, he's just, it's one injury after another, and he was asking for a boatload of money. And I think the Mets were kind of happy that he left because they knew he was a fan favorite. But I don't think he wanted to stay. I think he and his wife didn't like living in New York. They're Southern guy people. He went to he's a DeLand, Florida guy, Stetson University. I think he wanted the simpler life down in Texas. And with Bruce Bochy managing that team now, they need pitching. They got a heck of a lineup. They've spent a lot of money on offense, but they've got to retool that pitching staff. And what better way to do it than with deGrom? But a word of warning to you down there in Arlington. I don't know how many starts he's going to make. I mean, when he's pitching, I mean, he's the best pitcher in baseball. And they certainly would. They pay him 185 for 5, and I think there's even a 6th-year option. And the Mets, they went right back and signed Verlander. And Verlander may be 39, but he was a $1.75 ERA last year for the World Champs, and he's still pretty good coming off of Tommy John. And put him with Scherzer, like you said, the old Tiger 1-2 punch. Little question about their relationship, in Detroit, how they got along. It was very competitive between the two of them. But you know, you guys know about competition on the pitchers. I mean, the Braves staffs of the '90s. Who was more competitive than those guys against each other? Glavine and Smoltz and
Maddox.
Avery and Maddox, and so I think competition's good. I don't know. Scherzer's a tough guy to get along with, so I don't know. If
I
that relationship is strained or what, but that'll be
I,
interesting.
I'm a Tigers fan, Fred. I heard zero about it. They're competitive on the field, but I guess off the field they were friends.
Mhm.
That was a hell of a pitching staff in Detroit during that time period. Let's see, had Price, Porcello, Verlander, Scherzer. I mean, my goodness, Jim Leland. They were loaded and they weren't able to win it. Wayne, you're a Rangers fan. You got to like what they've done. They've spent a boatload of money in the offseason. I know it's so early for you to talk about baseball, but the Rangers are going to be a really improved team, and they've got a great manager in Bochy.
Yeah. Well, I've had that similar feeling many times before, and nothing ever came from it. So what I always default to is I'll let you know how I feel about the Rangers around the second week of August.
Well, Jimmy Leyland always used to say that the pennant race doesn't begin until August 10th.
Yeah.
So,
He's
right.
got Jim Leland philosophy. He's a big Rangers fan. We told him about DeGrom, and he's like, "Yeah, I'll see." Let's go
When
to our
DeGrom is on, man, he is dominant. And I'll tell you, he's fun to watch.
He is. Well, Fred, you're going to participate in our pick six. It's the last portion of the show, and thank you for coming on. I've got the 6 NFL games. I've got JJ's picks. I'll go over our overall record. JJ's winning at 35, 38, and 5. I still think he's rigged it. No, I'm just kidding. 3-3 last week. Wayne 34 and 39 and 5. 2 and 4 last week. Myself bringing up the rear. JJ studies these games, and he's only 2 games ahead of me. I'm 33, 40 and 5 overall. 3 and 3 last week. We pick against the spread. We usually do Monday spread, but we're doing Thursday today because JJ's ill. He was going to do some college ball, and I'm like, Fred's from the Northeast, man. We're going NFL. So that's what we're going to do. First game, we'll go with it. I'll name JJ's pick so I don't forget. Seattle at San Francisco versus Seattle. The Niners are favored by 3. JJ has Seattle on the points. What do you got, Fred?
I think that line's kind of low. I think the Niners should be favored by more than that. That's a big game for the Giants up here. The Giants need Seattle to lose.
So does Detroit.
Yeah, and so, Seattle beat them, so that's a big game for the Giants. You know what? I would take Seattle on the points because I think that's going to be a close game. Seattle and the Niners always play tough against each other. That's a big game for the Seahawks. They haven't played well lately. But yeah, I would take Seattle on the points in that one.
What do you got, Wayne?
Well, even though Seattle's big advantage in this game is that home turf, and especially those people in the end zone with that really loud stands, I'm going to go ahead and take 49ers to cover on this one because I was that impressed with that quarterback.
Well, Seattle got spanked last week against the Panthers at home. They don't have their top running back, the kid out of Michigan State. I like San Francisco to cover. The 49ers with an elite offensive line and elite D line. I've got San Francisco. Let's go to the next one. It's Miami versus Buffalo. Buffalo favored by 7.5. JJ has Miami in the points. Fred, you're up.
I'm going to go with Buffalo. I think Josh Allen is locked in right now. They had a bit of a slump there a few weeks ago. Josh Allen got knocked around. I think Miami's kind of a paper tiger. They got weapons. I mean, Tua has been tremendous. But I like Buffalo. I think this is Buffalo's year. I think this is finally the year that Buffalo gets over the hump. That's a big, division game. I like the Bills. I'm going to take the Bills.
It's at home. The weather will be most likely nasty. I don't know what the weather's like, Wayne. Do you know, Wayne, who do you got?
Well, I'm taking Buffalo for that weather reason, and it is going to be snowing and it is going to be cold there. And that's, that and the fact that I feel like Josh Allen is ready to look towards the playoffs.
Well, Miami's playing like doo-doo. You saw that the Chargers on Sunday Night Football. I'm taking Buffalo at home to cover the 7.5. That's a big spread in the NFL, but I'll take Buffalo. Let's go on to our next one. Yes, Atlanta versus New Orleans. New Orleans is a 4-point favorite. The Saints, JJ said, will cover. Wayne, he just betrayed you. We know what your pick is. Fred, what's yours?
Oh, that's an interesting game. I'm gonna take the Saints. Yeah, I'm gonna take the Saints. But it's amazing that in that division, the Saints with 4 wins could still conceivably win that division. It's remarkable. It's remarkable.
It is remarkable. They're not going to have their starting quarterback.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I just have a feeling. It's just a gut. I'm going to go with my gut. I'm going to take the Saints.
Wayne,
well, I'm taking the Falcons, and the reason why is because I feel like the Saints are going to be overconfident playing at home against Desmond Ridder, and that's going to cost them.
Well, I'll tell you what, I've loved everything that Desmond Ridder has done and said off the field. There's a quiet confidence about this kid. I don't think he's going to be phased at all. I mean, he's going against a Saints defense that is really good, but the Saints are having trouble scoring. This to me is a tough game. I tell you what, I think Desmond Ridder is pretty good. I think the Saints win by only 5 points. I've got New Orleans barely to cover, but I tell you what, I think Desmond Ridder plays pretty well on Sunday. I'll take New Orleans just barely. All right,
Andy Dalton's like the little girl with the curl, He can be really good or he can be really bad,
and
he's out, right?
If the Falcons can get after him, this could be, this is such a big rival game. 3 points, I would have definitely taken the Saints. That 4 was sitting there nudging at me, but I'll take it. I think the Saints will win by 5. It's going to be some weird 33-27 score or 33-28, something like that. Let's go to the Lions and Jets. And Fred, that's even. You pick it.
Well, the Jets are at home. So I think I'm gonna take the Jets, but I would not be surprised at all if this pesky Lion team, which is on the rise, goes in there and wins the game. They did it to the Giants just a few weeks ago in that very same ballpark. So I'm gonna take the Jets, but that's gonna be nip and tuck. I'm taking the Jets there.
And who's starting at quarterback this week? Who is it, Fred? Do you know?
It's Mike White. Mike White is gonna play. Yep. He got banged around against the Bills, but he's going to play. And like you said, Zach Wilson will be the backup. Joe Flacco was shot. I mean, Joe Flacco can't play anymore. He's had a great career, but boy, when he tried it out on the field in Buffalo last week, he looked like he didn't want to be there.
It was bad. You're right. JJ took the Jets. Took the Jets. I want everybody to know that. Wayne, who do you got?
Well, I believe the Lions have turned the corner. They've taken Detroit with them, and I'm along for the ride. I really think that the coach for the Lions is going to have something for the Jets defense. For some reason, I feel like he's got something in his pocket that he's going to pull out that's going to be unexpected, and the Jets are going to have to spend the whole game adjusting to it.
He does have something. He's got a hell of a running game. The offense is a top 5 running game. They scored the most rushing touchdowns in the NFL. I like Detroit to win the game in New York. The weather's 38 and sunny. I know they're a dome team. That's perfect. No rain, no snow. They've already won in that building, beating the Giants. And you know what? They just go ahead and take a doubleheader and sweep them both. I like Detroit, and Detroit's on a roll. I'll say it here. I like Detroit to run the table, go to Carolina and win, come home and beat Chicago, and stuff Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay and make the playoffs. How's that one?
Well, I'll tell you what, Aaron Rodgers couldn't lose enough for me. So I'm all in on that one.
Cincinnati and Tampa Bay, the Bengals are 3.5. JJ's got the Bengals to cover. What do you got, Fred?
This is Bengals and
Tampa Bay.
Bengals and Tampa. Tampa might be the most disappointing team in the NFL this year. I mean,
Yep.
I mean, it's the NFC South, so that's how they're in first place. But um, boy, the Bengals are red hot. I think the Bengals are on the kind of roll that they went on last year when they went all the way to the Super Bowl.
Yep.
So I think this is Cincinnati all the way. In fact, I could see this being a rout. Tampa Bay looks awful. They look just awful on both sides of the ball. Todd Bowles, by the way, he coached the Jets up here. He's a terrible coach. Might be a good D coordinator, but he's a terrible head coach. And Tom Brady looks totally disinterested right now, and he's yelling at everybody. He's yelling at his offensive line. He's yelling at his receivers. They're a mess. Cincinnati's going to romp in this one.
Wayne?
I'm taking the Bengals on this one because I feel like the Buccaneers are in such disarray. They're basically defeating themselves.
JJ picked the Bengals to cover. I've got the Bengals to cover. Usually I don't bet against the GOAT, but if you can't run the football and you're just you can't run the ball, you don't have a chance. I don't care who the quarterback is. I like Cincinnati, and Fred's right. The Bengals are making a huge run just like last year. I tell you what, I can see a Cincinnati Kansas City AFC Championship game. I can see Buffalo losing in the second round, but we'll see down the line. You know, one game I'm still kicking myself. I'm still going, should I take the Falcons? Should I change my mind? I may do it. I'll leave that tidbit for the end of the show. All right, New England versus Las Vegas, our last game. The Las Vegas Raiders. It's even. JJ's got the Raiders. Who do you have, Fred?
Well, that's going to be interesting. Is that Josh McDaniels returning to New England? Another Bill Belichick assistant who's fallen flat on his face. You're talking about a disaster. That Las Vegas team. How many games have they blown in the fourth quarter? I mean, it's historic. I mean, just
Is
unreal. You never when Belichick needs a game, he's tough. And he needs this one if he has any hope of making the playoffs. The Raiders are a mess. I'm going with the Patriots.
What about you, Wayne?
Well, I'm taking the Patriots basically for the same reason because the Raiders are so wishy-washy. You never know what you're going to get, and when you do get it, it's not a guarantee.
I'll tell you what, this is an easy game for me. I'm taking Belichick in New England. They won a parlay for me this past weekend, so I'm thrilled. I went up to North Carolina, and New England helped me win a parlay. So I'll take New England. I don't care if it's on the road. I don't care if it's in snow. The Raiders are a mess. I've got New England, and I tell you that last farting game is that Falcons game. There's something about Ritter there's something about him. I'm going to change my mind. Am I allowed to change my pick, Wayne?
Sure.
I'm changing my pick right now. JJ, I'm changing it. I got the Falcons to cover, and they might even win this game. I'm taking Atlanta. There's something about Ritter. There's something about that kid out of Cincinnati that I like. As soon as I picked New Orleans, I said, what am I doing? I'll wait and change my mind at the end of the show. And I have the right to do it. That's Wayne. Thank you so much. And Fred, thanks so much. You've been fantastic. Thanks for filling in for JJ. You can catch Fred at FredGerteny, sports producer at WTNH News 8 in Connecticut. And what's it like, Fred, being a sports producer? May I ask you?
Well, it's a lot of fun. You know, we got a lot. We just finished the high school state playoffs in Connecticut, and we had some really great championship games, and of course, we're big into UConn. We're big into Yale. UConn, both the men and the women, having great seasons. UConn football is on the rise with Jim Mora Jr. turning that program around. They're actually going to go to a bowl, down in Hilton Head, South Carolina. So things are exciting right now up in Connecticut. There's a lot going on. And of course, we're right in the middle of New York and Boston, so we covered the Yankees, the Mets, the Knicks, the Nets, the Celtics, and Patriots, and there's a lot going on. It's an exciting gig, and we're the ABC affiliate up there in Connecticut, and it's just a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
Fred, you got a kid in your area. dang nabbit, I can't think of his name right now. He plays for Michigan. They did a feature on him. Isn't he tight end Spoon something? He
Yeah.
played
Yep.
for Michigan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's the tight end. And they're of course on the Final Four.
Right.
And Cornelius Johnson is a wide receiver also from Greenwich,
Okay.
who's also a senior, who's a terrific player. Yeah, but Spoon, they call him Spoon, and every time he catches the ball up there in the big
Wait,
house, they yell
is
Spoon.
it Spoonmaker? Is that his last name?
Spoonmaker. Yep. Cal Spoonmaker. Yep.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, they call him Spoon. They do it at Michigan. And I just couldn't remember the second half of that last name. And I'm like, wait a minute. He's from your neck of the woods. And it just hit me. So
That's our station that did the feat. We interviewed him for our Sports Extra show, which we run every night, 10:45 to 11. So he came into the studio just a couple of days ago and came in with his high school coach from Hamden Hall and did the interview with John Pearson, our main sports anchor. And he's a terrific kid, great kid. He's going to get drafted. He's probably going to be a second round pick. Interesting story. His high school coach, Joe Linta, is actually his agent as well. He's also an NFL agent. So he represents him. And now the kid's talented, 6'6", 250, and just a super nice kid. And I'm rooting for him.
playing for Jim Harbaugh in Michigan. They'll play Georgia. No, they won't. Excuse me. They'll play TCU. They could play JJ's Georgia team for the national title, but Georgia's going to have to win. Michigan's going to have to win, and Ohio State and TCU have got a lot to say about it. All right, that's the end of the show. For Wayne in Memphis, for Todd in Atlanta, JJ, I know your wife's going to have a baby here real soon. We will not have an ATL Prime show. Not next week. We will not have a show. We'll be off for Christmas. And for Fred Gerteiny, thank you for coming on and filling in for JJ. And you know what? Gerteiny. Say your last name again. I said it right twice. I'll screw it up now.
No worries, Dad. Gerteiny.
Gerteiny, that's right. Gerteiny. I said it right. I knew I'd mess it up once. You know what? But thanks so much for coming on, Fred. I've had you on before, and I think I've messed it up even before when we were doing no video. We just did audio, and if I did, I'm really sorry. So
no worries at all, Todd.
Thanks for coming on and at the last minute. And JJ, best of luck to you and your wife and your upcoming child. And our thoughts and prayers are with you. And all you guys, I want to wish you a Merry Christmas out there. And thanks for listening to another edition of ATL Prime Sports. Have a great Christmas and a holiday, everybody.